All right, Shalom. I'm back with another quick video. This time I want to address crystal healing. It's something that I've noticed that's become a more prevalent practice among some of our brethren. And so I want to go into the origin of that, also the context of crystals according to scripture, and basically why it has no place amongst us. It's not accustomed for us to take on. So first, we have to look at scripture, and crystal, the word crystal is in the Bible, the Holy Scriptures, what is it, 5 times. You have it in Job 28:17, Ezekiel 1:22, Revelations 4:6, Revelations 21:11, and Revelations 22:1. And I'm going to give the Hebrew and the Greek definition of each time the word crystal is used, and also give some scriptural context regarding the use of crystals in the scripture. So the scripture I'm going to read out. Well, first let me give the Hebrew definition of it. The word crystal used in Job 28 is Hebrew number 2137, and it is defined as transparency or glass. There's a root linked to that, a primitive root linked to this particular word, and that's Hebrew number 2135, which is translucent. It also has a figurative meaning, which is to be innocent, be clean, make clean, cleanse, be clear, or to count pure. Now we have to define what figuratively means, because it's figuratively to be innocent, to cleanse, and stuff like that. And figuratively is defined to indicate departure from a literal use of words. It's used metaphorically, so it's not literally what that means. So figuratively means that that's not the initial definition or the meaning of the word. So when people tend to say they use crystals to cleanse in a biblical sense, it's not given context for that in a biblical sense. That's a figurative thing. And we'll get more into that as we go along in the Hebrew and Greek definitions. Okay, so this primitive root also links to another primitive root, which is to be compared to it, and that's Hebrew number 2141. In 2141, this primitive root is to be transparent or to clean, physically or morally. And there's an additional definition, which is to be clean, to make clean, to be pure, or to be purer. Now, one thing that is very imperative that we take note of is from the original definition of this word in Hebrew 2137, transparency and being translucent is in each definition, because that's literally what that word means. And then you have a figurative meaning, a metaphorical meaning, to cleanse or to be pure, etc. That would be used in a different sense, but not in the sense that the scriptures outline. And once we get into reading, that'll become even more clear, crystal clear. Okay, so we have the word crystal used in Ezekiel chapter 1, and that's Hebrew number 7140. And that is defined as ice, as if bald, smooth, rock crystal, as in the stone, frost, and that's linked to a primitive root, which is 7139, Hebrew 7139, and that's defined as to make bold, to make self bold. So, in this particular scripture, we know that the initial definition is not regarding boldness, it is talking about ice, like the solid form of the stone. That's the meaning of it in the Ezekiel scripture. In Revelations 4 and 6, and in Revelations 22 and 1, those the word crystal used has the same meaning, and that is G2930, which is linked to G2929, which is the reference for Revelations 21:11. And I'll read G2929 and G2930. And G2929 is to make ice crystallized to be clear as crystal. Greek number 2930 is frost or rock crystal, which is referring to the stone. So when we go into the scriptures, and I'm going to read Job chapter 28 and start verse 12 and end at verse 18. And it says, "But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth saith, It is not in me, and the sea saith, It is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold or the ophir, with the precious onyx or sapphire." And you see that this is in the context of stones that we use in jewelry and things like that. Okay, verse 18. Let me go back to verse 16. "It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire." 17. "The gold and the crystal cannot equal it." And that's the context where crystal is used. "The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies." So we have the actual biblical context in which crystal is used, and it is in comparison to stones, precious stones, semi-precious stones, and things like that. Things that we use in jewelry and decoratively, things like that. Now, if you read in context, Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 22, when crystal is mentioned, it is talking specifically about the color of crystal being clear. In Revelations 4 and 6, the context is compared to the color of the crystal stone. In Revelations 21 and verse 11, it is referring to the color of the crystal stone. And in Revelations 22 and 1, it is referring to the color of the crystal stone. I implore you, I beseech you, to read these scriptures for yourself so that you can get the full context as to which crystals are used according to scripture. It is always in reference to the stone of the crystal. It's not used in any healing, but it's used in the context of the value of the stone as if it is a jewel. So that I had to get out of the way first, because I also did some research. I wanted to go into the origin of crystal healing, because we see, according to Scripture, that's not something we did. It's not listed in there. But when I go into the origin and the different people who used it, it's all going to come around full circle. All right, so in researching the origin of crystal healing, what I found is that crystal healing is a technique in which crystals and stones are used to cure ailments and protect against future diseases. The crystals act as a conduit. And if you're not familiar with the word conduit, it is defined as a channel or a means of transmitting and distribution. So it acts as a conduit or a channel for healing by allowing positive energy to flow into the body while providing a pathway for negative energy to flow out. Now, in theory, this sounds like a good thing. At face value on the surface, this sounds interesting, Here's the thing. These stones, because crystal is a stone, which is used as jewelry in the scriptures. It has value equivalent to rubies and pearls and things like that, as we just read. This practice of crystal healing takes this stone and uses it to channel some type of energy. What is this energy? What is the source of this energy? And this energy enters supposedly into this crystal, and then from the crystal into your body. And at the same time, it's supposed to create a pathway, make a way for negative energy to flow out of the body. So in essence, this crystal is used as a doorway or a portal for some energy or spirit to enter into you and allow it to control your temple. When you do these practices, you are opening up yourself for possession. This energy that people speak of, where is it in the scriptures? Because that's not how the Spirit of the Most High works. So you're doing something outside of the Most High, outside of the Spirit of the Most High that will walk dwelling inside of you. So you're taking in some additional energy source. Where is it coming from? These are the serious things that we need to address. These are the serious matters that we need to take into consideration, because knowingly or unknowingly, you're opening yourself up to possession of some demonic force. I've heard people say, oh, people are always condemning crystals and stuff like that. I mentioned it in my video yesterday about the debate about using crystals for healing and things like that. Because if it was something the Most High set in place where you could just hold this crystal and it would just draw out sicknesses, that's one thing. But you're talking about actually channeling, conjuring some spirit to cleanse you, to heal you. I need biblical context for that. And if anyone could bring solid biblical context for this, line upon line, precept upon precept, I have absolutely no problem admitting I'm wrong. You know, all scripture is given for what? Instruction, reproof, correction, and righteousness. Like, I don't have a problem gaining knowledge and moving forward in that if I'm ignorant to something. The issue is a lot of us are ignorant to what we're doing. And then there are some that aren't. And this is why I'm making this video. It's for those who are ignorant to what's actually going on, and it's to address those who aren't, because you have wolves in sheep's clothing. You have witches and head wraps and fringes preying on the people of the Most High, tricking and deceiving them into partaking in witchcraft. And I'm calling you out today. We won't talk about it. So, these crystals that were used, or are used, I should say, because they're still being used. I see, and I'm not exaggerating, more and more every day, more people dealing with this crystal mess. You do it if you want to. It's no biblical context for it, though. So don't put the Most High in it, because you're lying. And all liars shall have their part in the lake of fire. So just don't do that. Say, I'm doing my own thing. I'm off. This isn't according to scripture, but this is something I enjoy doing, and I'm going to do that. That's 100% on you. But don't lie and make it into something, some type of righteously accurate thing to do. That's not what that is. The scripture tells us about healing through prayer, healing through herbs, things like that, through faith, not through crystals. And like I said, if you have precepts, bring them. Please bring them, because I'll do another video and bring out all those precepts on that. Otherwise, we have to stop. Stop deceiving the people. Satan presents himself as an angel of light. If it was possible, the very elect would be deceived. This is why we have to study, to show ourselves approved. This is why we can't just go along with everything that just seems right and seems natural. This is why, as I study and as I practice herbalism, as I study and practice aromatherapy and just naturalism, doing things the natural way, all of these things are going to come up. All of these things will be able to be addressed, because I'm not going to practice something that's not spiritually sound and grounded in the Most High. I'm not going to do that. And I can't encourage someone else to do it. And I can't condone other people doing it. If you decide to do that, like I said, it's 100% your choice. However, let it be known, it is not of the Most High. So, some of these things that these stones were used in were amulets, talismans, beads, necklaces, and bracelets, and even rings. And that's why I'm very peculiar about buying jewelry with stones in them. I would say the safest way to make sure somebody hasn't used those stones to conjure up some demon or something like that is to make your own jewelry. Now, everybody does not have the skill set for that, nor the time. Some people do. I don't. I would like to, but I'm just not at that place yet. So if you have these types of things in your home, pray over them, cleanse them through prayer. You definitely need to do that, because there are several videos that I've come across on YouTube that state by people who used to do these things, who used to be in the occult and do these types of practices, where they trap, supposedly trap, demonic spirits into stones and other types of objects. And they say, like, you may need to remove these things from your house. And you can just Google research. You can just search on YouTube and find those videos and become aware of that yourself. So that's something definitely to look into. Now we're going to look at the ancient people and how they used these crystals or crystal healing in ancient Samaria. They used them in magical formulas. I'm not going to expound on that because I'm not interested in studying the depth of witchcraft they went into with this. But magic is the opposite of divine from the Most High, because magic is mysticism. That's wicked. In ancient Egypt, come on now, somebody putting it together, okay? Somebody putting it together that in captivity, maybe that's where we picked up these practices, some of us. And that's why it appeals to some of us, even though we were supposed to be in the truth. We were always the Most High's people, but when you're around these customs, that's why it says, don't take on these heathen customs. It says that in the scripture, because we were always around it. And I know then it appealed to people, because it's still appealing to people now, to the people of the Most High. The point is not to partake in it. All right, so in ancient Egypt, it was used in jewelry for health and for protection. How does a stone protect you? Somebody tell me in the comment section, because I love knowledge. Let me know what demon you got warring on your behalf. Let me know. In ancient Greece, they were used superstitiously to prevent drunkenness or to make them feel invulnerable, like nothing could come against them. What does that sound like? In ancient China, and I think that's where a lot of people start and stop. They think that these are ancient Chinese techniques, and that there isn't much else to it. It's something they've done and it's effective for them and stuff like that. But we got ancient Samaria, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and these ancient uh, civilizations or what have you, they were doing these things. So, yeah, in ancient China, they're used for healing and for luck. We don't deal with luck. And we already discussed the healing aspect of that. So these are the things we have to put together. Other uses beyond that, beyond different people, beyond these times, were generally used for healing. They were taught to be used for healing. And they were also taught that they were powered by angels, whether they be good or bad, that would determine the virtue of the stone. So it's pretty clear that, and they just tried to put good angels in there versus bad angels. What's a bad angel? A demon. And some of these ancient amulets and jewelry that possess these stones and stuff like that, they were found all over the world, which means they traveled from Egypt to, I believe it was Britain or something like that. They had them all over the place because people put value, they put stock into these practices. Now, if you choose to continue these practices, that is 100% on you. Your blood is off of my hand because I put the truth out there. So, with that being said, take everything that was brought out into context. Research, do your research. Please do your research. And come to your conclusion, whatever it may be, and move forward in that. I pray that the Most High leads you into His righteousness. That if this has created a stronghold for you, that it be broken and that you never return to it. And that's all I have. So until the next video, shalom.